Hello, and I am live, and hopefully my mic, nope, no mic yet. Let's go with the mic. There we go. Can we hear me? Am I seeing a mic? Can you guys hear me? I'm not sure. I'm using a new mic today, so if we're having any issues, that's what's going on. That's not what I want. Let's do it this way. Kind of low, yeah. No, I know what's going on. Give me a minute. I'm going to leave it on the soft volume, but it'll get fixed in 1 minute. Again, I actually forgot to do something a little bit before we started. Let me see. Active. Hey, no problem. I'm always happy to help. So let me figure this out real fast. I knew this might be a problem. So, let's see. I'm going to get it. Don't worry. Yeah, I am actually using the camera sound for a minute. I actually do have my lav mic plugged in here, but it's plugged into a different input, and my computer is being difficult about using it. So if you'll give me a second, I'll figure out what's going on. I actually forgot where I had plugged this into ahead of time. Give me a second. Let me see if this works. Because if this works, then I'm all good and I don't have to worry about it. Let's see if that works better. Because that would be just fine with me. Let's see if that works. Testing, testing. Oh yeah, that looks like it's a lot better. Check that out. Let me know what you think. It actually looks a little too hot. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. What you think? Better? This should be still using the camera, but I just plugged my lav mic into the camera. Better. Excellent. Quite a bit better. Good. Again, new camera. I'm wireless this, new microphone this time. I am wireless finally. So thank you to everyone that's contributed to the channel. I now am wireless and can move freely without dragging around cables. So this is, yeah, Tom, this is my big-ass Rancor up here. And this was from a competition that Things was doing, and this is a Chaos Core-Tech model. So this is pretty much full print bed for the Ender 5 Plus, if you're interested. So I appreciate everyone being here. We've got a relatively small crowd to get started, but that's fine. I think there are multiple other live streams going on today, so that's probably going to affect this stream a little bit. I think that there's one before this that may still be going, and there's one after this, I know, from other YouTubers. So if you're jumping around streams or whatever, I completely understand. Hey, non-fam, how you doing? Tom, Lone Tech, David Wilson. Hey, David, good to see you. By the way, if you didn't see my message on Patreon, thank you for the banana, which is actually sitting pretty close around here somewhere, my banana for scale. So David sent me over this awesome official Hot Makes banana for scale, so I appreciate that. Cool, cool, right? Let's see. Chris Riling's stream has ended. Oh, cool. All right, maybe I'll get some of his overflow. I did not catch a stream. I was eating lunch. Anyway, so we are here. Let's get started with what we're here to talk about. I'm obviously okay with whatever you want to put in the chat as we're doing this. I'm always free to answer your questions while we're doing this. I do try to stay on topic as much as possible, but obviously I'm here for whatever you need. Anyway, so what we got? We've got the Longer LK5 Pro, and yes, I had to look at the box because I have so many printers, and I knew this one was from Longer though. So this is the Longer LK5 Pro. I chose this printer because of its size. It's got a 300 by 300 build plate, and I know a lot of people are looking for printers in that size range. In fact, most of the things you'll see coming up on the channel in terms of 3D printer reviews are going to be things in this size range, things that are not 220 by 220, because I am trying to focus in on the bigger printers on this channel. It's what I personally need most of the time. So I think the smallest printer I have anywhere is the Ender 6. It's 250 by 250, but that's a special case. So anyway, what we got going on. So this is the Longer LK5 Pro. They also sent over a nice spool of their Longer filament, which is available on Amazon. I'm going to start off like we do in some of my other videos where I actually bring up the specs on their website, and we're going to take a look at it. All right, now you can hear me on all the inputs. I think we're good now. There we go. So let's go back. We're going to go, hey, I'm still here. Let's go back to the screen share. I usually Well, believe it or not, that camera input is actually showing up as a valid input when I'm actually in that scene. I don't know why it's dropping out on me, but I should still have camera here. Do you hear me now? Anyway, let me know. Everybody can hear me now still. Or am I just dead? Don't know. Not going to keep going until I hear that. Okay, you can hear me now. Thank you. All right. So guess what? We're going to just keep going with this one then. I'm not used to this many technical difficulties. Anyway, let's just go on here. I will just read you with what I'm seeing on the screen. And again, I just like to do this as a little precursor so that we know what's going on with the printer. So this is 90% pre-assembled, triangular structure, so it does supposed to have the braces on it, which are really nice. 4.3-inch touchscreen, quiet and open source printing. You know what? I'm going to share this link with you in case you want to follow along while I am doing it here. And, all right. So, we've got upgraded glass bed equipped, high temperature resistant Teflon tube. They've got US and EU warehouses if you order it directly from their website. By the way, if you are interested in this printer anytime during the stream, check the description. In the description, you will find the link to either buying this directly from them, you'll find a link to their Amazon store, or you can also find a link to their filament if you're interested in any of those. All right. And what else? Anything else here? Let's see, again, triangle design, quiet printing, 4.3-inch touchscreen, easy to remove glass bed, high temp tubing, 90% pre-assembled. This is what they keep saying. It is a 300 by 300 by 400 printer. Normal 3D printing temperature is 190 to 250. So that means most likely not an all-metal hot end. Printing speed, it'll go up to 180 millimeters per second, but it's suggested to stay between 60 and 80. Pretty standard. And I think that's enough for us to get going. That's pretty much all the details, so I am good with that. Hey everyone, we're getting more and more people popping back in. So let's see what we've got going on. Okay, let's get started because I think that's what people are waiting on. So let's do it. If you are watching and you are enjoying the stream at any point, please go ahead and give it a like. And so I'm about to switch over to the close-up cam. If it drops out the audio, please let me know, and I will just do this from a wide shot because I don't know what's going on. So let's try a close-up. All right, I'm switching back to wide, and now okay, so it doesn't look like my close-up camera is going to work because I can't get audio working. So that's pretty crappy. But, oh well, we go with what we've got. So I'm going to go ahead. Let me try something real fast. I may have a different solution. There we go. Hello, hello. Can you hear me? You're hearing me on both now. It probably is echoey now. Well, can you hear me now? I bet you that works, but it's just not going to allow me to do everything I need to do. Still don't know why the onboard mic is not working, because everything shows there is working. You're back. Okay. Well, we're just going to do it that way then. Okay, we're going to get through this stream, I promise, guys. Sorry about that. I still don't know what's going on, because OBS is showing me that it's working. So that's what's driving me nuts here, is that everything in OBS is showing it's good. I'm even using the onboard mic. Okay, we're going to fix it. I got it. I'm just going to go back to the way I was doing it. All right, so that should be back to working good with good audio, and I will have to handle my technical issues later. There we go. No more distorted audio. It should be all clean. Yes? We good? Okay, now the mic is back and better. Okay, so we're going to head forward. I'm not going to waste any more of your time on this. I just am not going to be able to get close-up shots, unfortunately, because my mic's going to cut out if I do. So good to go. Everyone's happy with that. Again, I don't know. I don't know why that's not working elsewhere. All right, but according to this, Audio is good. Okay, let's do it. All right, so let's open this up and get going since I'm way behind here because of technical issues. Let's see what's going. Thank you all for your patience. And again, it's what I get for not doing a mic check ahead of time. Still don't know why it's not working because I was plugging it into the computer. It actually is showing up on the monitor that it's picking up the mic when it's plugged into the computer. But OBS just doesn't seem to be processing it, which is just kind of odd. Don't know what's going on there, but I'll figure it out later. Not going to hold you guys up any longer. All right. So what's in the box? I think you'll be able to see it pretty good from that angle anyway. Well, I don't normally do it that way, DJ. I normally actually do have a proper interface, and that's what it was plugged into to begin with. So I normally don't use the camera for the audio for the live stream. So this is an unfortunate development, and I don't know what the system's doing. I don't know what particular input has screwed up because that's not usually what happens. So that's all new for me. So let's see what's in here. So it's packaged very nicely. This is some of the better packaging I've seen in a printer. So interesting, it comes with this nice small baggie of filament, which, if I'm not mistaken, may actually be the same filament that I have in here. So notice I've got a nice purple here. That's a nice purple filament. So it looks like it probably comes with their filament because that's what was in the box. So yeah, who knows? Like you said, DJ, if I was going to blame anything, it would be Windows. But it still bugs me that I mean, even now, it's showing me that I'm getting that input and that it's proper. But for some reason, it just wasn't streaming it. I have no idea. What we got here? Silica gel pack. We've got typical stuff. It looks like we have an end stop. We have a USB drive. And we have another, this one's labeled spare parts. And it is, looks like an additional, it's an additional end stop probably. It's got a tiny little switch on it, but it's not the same as the other end stop. All right. We have our usual scraper. Yeah, these are pretty nice actually. This is a wider one and it actually has kind of a tip on it so you can actually get under the part. Let's see what we got. So it comes with a little sheet that just is a thank you note for using them. We've got some quick start instructions, which I will be using. It actually has on here the quick start guide. It's got all the labels of the part so that we know what everything is. It has a packing list. It tells us to set our power accordingly, depending on whether we're running 230 or 115. And we have the installation process on the front and the back, so works for me. And let's get out the rest of these parts. We have our build plate, which is the nice surfaced glass build plate, which I actually do like. There's been some polls going around of what kind of build surface do you use. I am typically a glass printer myself, and this one has texture on one side and it's probably smooth on the other. I find myself using the smooth side a little bit with a little bit of adhesive of some sort. I've been using the nanopolymer adhesive, which I really like. So, all right, let's see. We have the build plate. I don't know if that comes out yet, so let's wait a minute on that one. So we have our uprights, which come pre-assembled. There we go. So there's our uprights, already pre-assembled. They have the parts already on here for doing your rods to keep it from swaying. I will call those the sway rods. The extrusions are interesting because they're smooth on one side, and all the other sides are normal extrusions. Let's see, we have the sway rods right on top. We have a threaded rod right on top. What else we got? And does this come off and that? Yeah, so that's what I figured. The bed is actually already installed, and we're going to actually have to get this foam off from around it. So there we go. All right. Now what is the best way? So here we have, this is all like one big piece, I think. So let's go ahead and start pulling out some of these other pieces. That is our Z motor, not labeled in any way. We've got screws, tools. Move that over. Got this looks like the top of the Z screw. All right, we have zip ties, always good to have included. And another bag of screws. And is that it there? That's it there. What we got here? That doesn't come out yet. And I have to see, we got a US power cable. I always like it when it ships with the appropriate power for your area. Let's see how this comes out. It looks like, let's see if it's complicated or pretty easy to get out. You got little pieces of foam. That's what we got. Okay, so this does come out pretty easily. Is that attached? It's attached to something. That's what I was afraid of. All right, so I was hoping that they had found a way to connect them, but not attach them, and it doesn't look like they did. So it looks like our gantry is connected to our base, which is nice when you're trying to lift weights or, you know, pull things apart. We'll say the printer's not too heavy. It's not too bad at all. This is thought I saw the power supply label on it. There it is. It is a Chang Lang. So this is the inexpensive power supply that you usually find in Creality printers that haven't been upgraded to the Meanwell. This is a 360 24 volt power supply. And have they set it? It is still on 230, so that's not going to be useful. I have to change that in a minute. But it does come like with a lot pre-assembled. That's a lot of stuff on there. All right, no audio again? All right, Andrew said no audio. Am I getting audio? Let me know if Andrew's wrong, because I'm still seeing that nothing's changed on the audio front. Audio good. All right, thank you guys. You tell me audio is out again, and I'm going to be drop kicking my new mic to the curb and going to go back to my wired mic. Okay. Audio's okay in Belgium. Well, I'm glad we have it confirmed. All right, we have a spool holder, which actually feels kind of light, but it'll probably do the job. What else we got? Touchscreen. So this one does have a nice touchscreen interface. It says to make sure you set the voltage switch before you use it, which I love all the reminders on this printer to set the voltage correctly. I think yeah, you can't say that enough, particularly if you put it right there on the display. People are going to look at that before they actually turn on the printer. And is there anything else in here? I think that feels like all the right parts, but I wanted to make sure. All right, so that looks like it. Oh, thanks, Thomas. Yeah, you guys want to mess with me this stream? Just, yeah, keep randomly telling me the audio's out. All right, I'm going to fix it for the next stream. So now I need a follow-up stream where I don't have to worry about the stupid audio. Anyway, so that's it. Let's get back the parts up here on the table. Start with this one. And you know me, let's take a look at some of the electrical parts. All right, so one thing I can say, the base is sturdy, which I really like. If you notice that there are actually feet on these, I actually use the extrusions to build small feet that actually keep it up off of the bed, or excuse me, off the table, which seems pretty good. You know, if it's wobbly, I'm not sure if it's the table. Yeah, it must be the table because it doesn't wobble this way, so it seems good. There we go. So we've got connectors here. We've got a label on it that says made in China. LK5 Pro, 280 watt rated power. So that looks good. So normally on the stream, I will go ahead and take a look at the electronics. Unfortunately, like I said, I'm not going to be able to switch cameras like I normally would to show you exactly what they look like. But I'm still going to do it, and I can talk you through what's in the box. Because I don't actually want to turn on this printer without knowing what's in it and how's it working. So I do love their cable sleeving. Very interesting choice. It's a fabric-y. Looks very durable, and it is a wrap of some sort. So it's a really nice cable wrap on here. Really like the whole cable management, at least on the outside. Let me grab one of my, nope, that's not the right one. Let's grab one of their tools they included with it. Let's find the right one. All right, so let's see what's in here. No audio 10 minutes ago? That's good. That one I'm okay with, I suppose. So let's go ahead and take a good look at this. How's their weekend going? Everybody's weekend going. Here in Georgia, the weather is pretty crappy, so it was a good day to do a live stream. We've got a lot of rain going on. But it's supposed to be nice again tomorrow. Yove. How do you pronounce that? Y-O-A-V. Is that Yove or Yoav or none of the above because other countries pronounce it differently? Hey, Tony. How you doing in Tennessee? Let's go. Second, Yoav. 2 syllables. I like it. Thank you for confirming. Cold and wet. 15 degrees. Clear sky in Belgium. Tomatoes are already outside. Oh, that sounds amazing. I'm going to really have to make my way over there. I'm afraid, though, if I come visit those countries up there on the upper side of Europe, that I am not going to want to come back home. They seem so nice. The weather, the people, everything I see seems like a wonderful place to live. But these are on here good, and there's plenty of screws keeping it all together. Thank you, Tom. Please smash that like button. All right. This is a lot of screws. Is that all of them? Nope, that's not all of them. There's one on this side. But I hope this is what you tune into a live stream for, is actually to get all these details. I'm not for just putting it together and printing. What's the fun in that? How close am I to finding all the screws? Oh, 3 more. I'm going to have to go get my good screwdrivers if this keeps up, because this is going to take too long. Let's see, where did I put those? Those are actually bigger screws, or different. There we go. We just wanted to hear you talk. All right. Well, you know, funny that you mentioned that. I actually had someone in the comment section of one of my live streams from the past complaining that I talk too much in my live stream. And I was kind of confused by that, because I didn't think people typically, wanted dead air when they were watching a live stream. So I thought that was funny. But if you want me to shut up and just, you know, unscrew things and put it together, I can do that too. Save my voice. Seems a little bit more boring for me and you, though. All right, that should be everything. Well, yep, there we go. All right. So what we've got here, we have a LGT Kit V1.0 main board. It appears to be a custom main board made by Longer, which is what I assume the LGT stands for, is Longer Technologies or something like that. But the board overall looks really nice. All the connectors are glued in with some sort of red gloop. It's not hot glue, it's some sort of red glue. Thanks, Dominique. I appreciate that. Dominique with the $3.99. So I appreciate it. Processor, of course. Let's find out what processor's in it. And I'm going to have my flashlight here. So flashlight says it is is it an AT Mega? Let's see, AT Mega 2560. It looks like an AT Mega 2560. Yep, AT Mega 2560. It is an 8-bit board still. So they have not updated to 32-bit. I'm getting to it, Tom. Hey, thank you, Peel. Is that P-E-L-L-E, Peel? Thank you very much for the 30 SEKs. You can tell me where you're from, Peel. I appreciate it. That's very kind. So, again, let's see. It is a 8-bit board, 2560 AT Mega, and it looks like we have 4 drivers, which means, yep, we've got 4 drivers. We have 20, I'm going to pull one of them out. Swedish, thank you very much. So, well, it is a TMC driver. It doesn't say exactly on the top what it is. We're going to assume that whatever the website said it was, either a 2208 or a 2209, is accurate. So let me bring that up here. Did they actually say what it is? Yeah, TMC 2208s. So we've got 3 TMC 2208s that are on X, Y, and Z. And we have what appears to be an A4988 on the extruder. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to peel this off of here, but it is the typical green board that you would see from a 4988, and I approve of that highly. I think the idea of doing 4988 on that is definitely the way to go. So I think that if you do it that way, say DIR, make sure. I was just making sure I got this back in here right, because I don't want to blow a stepper driver, although I've got plenty of them. But yeah, there's DIR, Ian. Yep, okay, we're back in business. All right, so that's on there. Yeah, Astro Printer, we're not getting close-ups because I'll lose audio. And so I can't lose audio. We're not going to have close-ups today. Sorry. Nothing I can do about that. Maybe when I go to Prince, I'll do a quiet time. But let's see. We got to finish up the look here. Again, I approve of the way they've got their steppers set up. They've got the silent steppers on X, Y, and Z. They've got a 4988 on the extruder, which is fine. I don't have any problems with that. They do have excellent wiring in here. I love what I'm seeing on the wiring. Is that a... Let me show you these. I forgot what these types of connectors are. Hopefully you can see it a little bit. These are the type XT connectors. These are XT connectors. No tinned wires in this thing. They actually put proper XT connectors on there, which have the other ends actually built into the main board. So proper electrical engineering here, not XT60s. These are the T ones, the T connectors you'll see on some RC vehicles. It says XT on the connector. So if it's not that type of XT. But yes, properly done wiring, soldered connectors. They've got heat shrink over them. Again, they've got the wiring harnesses done well. In the power supply, they actually have all of the wires are properly crimped in. This is really nice. This is Dean's connector is what TJ is telling me. The T-plugs, yeah. So I'm going to plug this back in. I have to say, out of all the printers I have put together, maybe ever, this is some of the best looking wiring that I've seen. So very cool connectors on here. They've done a nice job. All the wiring looks absolutely proper. I'm looking around the rest of the printer since I'm talking about it now. And as of right now, I can't say a single bad thing about the connectors. Very well done. I would love to close up Rush Mirror, but as I've talked, you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a quick close-up. I'm going to lose audio more than likely. Let me know if I don't lose audio. But you know what I want to do? I want to give you a close-up because I think that's important. So I'll give you a quick close-up, and then I'll come right back after showing it to you. So here we go. All right, there we go. So now you've seen all of the wiring. It looks really good. I'm happy with that main board. And we're back. What about the green connectors? Oh, the green connectors. Thank you for bringing that up. Let's take a look at them. Those have been... So I'm guessing what they thought on the green connectors. I'm going to pull this around. So the green connector is where the hot end is going to be plugged in. They did put the green gloop on there. It looks like I can break it though. And yep. So they've used, they have this green connector on here, and since they have a connector on it, my thought was they didn't think to actually use the ferrules. Now they could have, obviously, and I guess that would have been preferred, but they are, you know, installed correctly. Let me get my, where did I put my screwdrivers? I just had those, but it was with another printer, so that's where they've gone. Let me grab that real fast. Oh, there it is. Okay. Feel a lot less organized. I thought I was ready for this stream. That's what I get for thinking. All right. Grab all of these. These are better. All right, so let me take a look at these connectors on here. Pull these off. And they did tin these connectors. So these are the ones that are plugged into this connector, which is for the hot end, and they are tinned, unfortunately. So unfortunately, that is not ideal, but it's not bad. If this is the worst I can say about this printer, they've done better than 95% of the printers out there, so I'm not going to give them a hard time. You could put some, yeah, okay. Anyway, so that should be good. Anyway, they've done better than 95% of the manufacturers out there. If that's the only thing that is tinned and in actual connectors, I think we're all right. Again, it would have been preferred to see ferrules on them since those are higher current drivers, or excuse me, higher current wires, but that's fine. But the issue with ferrules in general, or excuse me, with tinning in general, is it doesn't give you a good solid connection that the actual tinning can break or can be a bad connection in that screw down plug and you can have some arcing. It's not likely, but it is possible, and so those ferrules, what they do is by putting a ferrule on a stranded wire, it compresses that stranded wire and gives you a good solid connection. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back together. Again, keep in mind that, like I said, most printing companies are not going to the ferrules yet. There hasn't been a lot of change, even though a lot of the technical folks in the 3D printing community have asked for changes. But, you know, I don't hear a lot of problems. I don't hear about a lot of fires. I don't hear a lot of issues. But we do keep, you know, pushing for best practices, which I think is a good thing for the industry to do. All right, Lone Tech, hate to see you go, but hopefully you'll make it back. All right, so I'm going to put this back together and we will get going with the build. Again, I hope that you all appreciate the taking apart. Now I've got my good screwdrivers to put all this back together. But I just got to find the right hole. Well, there we go. No problem. I always usually do those close-up rush mirror, but like I said, I'm having audio issues today, and that is making close-ups and things much more difficult than they normally would be, because I won't be able to keep talking while I'm doing the close-ups. Yeah, so far I actually like the construction of this. Getting to all this under here won't be the easiest thing in the world once it's all fully assembled, because you won't be able to turn this over. I actually love it when they put the hatches on top to actually get to your main board, but let's be honest, that's for tinkerers, and they probably don't cater a lot of this for you opening it up and mucking with the insides. Yeah, so when I can do music, but for some reason my audio is not, my microphone is not carrying over, and I still don't know why. I don't know if something's wrong with OBS, because OBS is actually showing me that there's audio. I actually have graphical representation showing me that the audio is actually working, the mic audio is actually working on the stream, but it doesn't get to you. So I still don't know what the deal is there. And I've tried enough on this stream and wasted enough people's time, and I don't want to do that. Thought I'd turn on the music just so that if people came while I was in close-up mode, that it would at least, you know, let them know that the stream's not dead. But it's hard. It's going to be hard to do an assembly without being able to talk about what I'm doing. Okay, we are back together. I think everything is good, so I'm going to actually pull out my instructions here and we're going to get going. what we got. Okay. Step 1, they want us to prepare the axis. So let me go and flip this over because I have a tough time believing we'll be doing anything else underneath the bottom here. One thing I wanted to take a look at too while I had this over was the soldering on the plate. So the plate looks nice and soldered. That connector is on there solid. When I'm talking about the plate, I'm talking about the build plate, which is all metal and has a big connector soldered onto it. And they actually have enough lines going to that connector. Can I do picture-in-picture? Maybe. I think my wife is onto something. So Shelly Kersey, my wife, has joined in the chats, and she may actually have the solution here. If I bring it up, do picture-in-picture, and maybe some swapping, maybe if they're both on the screen, it'll work. So I will play with that. That's a good idea. Let's go ahead. You know what? Let's go ahead and do it. She suggested it. Let's see if my picture-in-picture works. Let me see if I keep the audio. You guys let me know if it's going to work. Let's do that one. How about that? Well, that's not the one I wanted. How about this one? Does that one still work? Can you hear me still? Let's see. Can you hear me? Close up and dual screen. Can you hear me? Yes? 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 Well, okay. There we go. It's not great. It's garbled. Huh? Can hear you not as good. It's clipping, but we got sound. That's even weirder. Really? Oh, I know why. Let's do this. What about now? Okay. Anyway, we're going to try that. Let's see if that works. And it's quiet. But it may work now. We good? Solution. Lost you, no audio. Boom. Choppy, no sound. Yes. It's dodgy. Yeah, I'm confused all over the place on this one, guys. Can't even figure it out why it would be doing this. All right. Anyway, underwater. Oh well. It was a good shot. We can go to that when I need to, but we should. Man, that's what I get for not testing it ahead of time. All right, so let's go ahead and flip this thing back over. Hopefully I can flip it the same way I flipped it to begin with. And run it, choppy. All right. All right, is this better? Don't know what this has to do with any of this. Are we better? Okay. Yeah, this is fine. Yeah, I know. If that's the worst that happens, I guess we're all right, because anything short of this, then I'm going to have to postpone. So, okay, so it says first thing we want to do is prepare the gantry, X-beam, frame, yada yada. So we got our gantry, sound is good again. And make sure that my cable is as unwrapped as possible, because I don't think we want it. All right, we need to figure out what side is up. I'm guessing the filament, yep, nozzle down for sure. And we're going to want the smooth on the front. How big is the bed? It is 300 by 300. Now we just want to fit in the slots, the T-slots, onto those wheels. And that works really easily. No problem at all there. Okay. That's first up. Follow the direction of the arrow and put the gantry frame through the X-beam, or excuse me, X-axis beam carefully. Do not tear the cables. After assembling, the cables should be behind. So let's make sure the cables are behind. I'll hold this in place because that's what we're about to do next. And no, the frame with the holes is on my left. Where are the holes? I don't see holes in my frame. So they're making a claim that there should be holes on one side of the frame, but that's not on there. So apparently that's what's going on. There's no actual holes on the left side of this frame. I don't know if that's a change because I'm not seeing that at all. And preparation coupler, assemble rod. Okay. Now let me see what they want to do here. So they then want me to assemble the motor. All right, now I'm starting to get worried. Where are the holes? If I'm supposed to screw into this, are there no holes? All right, I'm gonna have to take this apart because they're showing me that there's supposed to be holes in here. And did I get actually a frame? Let's see, installation direction, yep. Oh, there are holes. All right, so the holes I was looking for are actually back here underneath inside the actual extrusion. So that's the ones I wasn't seeing correctly. All right, so there we go. So let's put that back in there. Make sure our cables are behind. Carefully lay this on here. All right, so they want me to go ahead and assemble the whole thing. They actually want me to do the motor assembly, which needs two M416s. Two M416s. Holes were in the rods attached. No, the holes are actually in the frame. I just couldn't see them because they're actually in the extrusion. So I couldn't see them where they were. So, all right, let's get this thing together. So obviously the motor's going to go on. Unfortunately, again, we'll not be able to show you the close-up of this while I'm doing it. But so I'm going to take the motor. The motor is going to be facing up with the coupler facing up. And then the screws are going to go all the way through. And should be able to find the threads in there because they are pre-tapped. There we go. That one's in. Let's go ahead and tap. Let's go and get our other one started. And then we can get it all in there. There we go. I'm going to use my fingers to align it as best as possible. Top and bottom. Make sure it feels even. Actually, I want to leave it a little loose because then when we put in our threaded rod, we can make sure that it's lined really well. Okay, and that's in fact the next step. After we've done that, assemble the screw by rotating it in, install the motor, tighten the 4 screws on the coupler. There's 2 other ones. I don't see 4 screws on the coupler. Oh, they mean the ones that are around there. Oh, the 4 screws on the coupler. Okay. Whew. I got it. Hey, from Denmark. How you doing, Asker? Good to see you. This is not the highlight of my streaming effort today, so be prepared. I've had better streams than this. But I'm going to get through it, and we're going to keep going. And I'm going to drink more out of my mug, because it can't hurt at this point. So they have wrapped this up tight. It's not greased or anything. So, all right, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to stand this up here. And we're going to find our, there we go. Okay, so this is something they were talking about in the instructions. the um, the actual um, the actual nut up here at the top is not screwed in tight, which they've done on purpose so that you can get everything aligned and then tighten it up. So we will need to tighten the screws right here on our lead screw nut. So first thing I want to do, does appear that the screws in here are loose, or excuse me, are tightened down, and I'm going to actually need to loosen these screws on the coupler, otherwise it's not actually going to fit. There we go. So now it's going in. Now anytime I've got one of these flexible couplers, I like to just pull it up just a touch so that it's not resting on the motor's the motor shaft. That's so that we have a little bit of flex there in case we need it. And if you put it right on that shaft, it's not going to have any flex. That's me personally. All right, so I've tightened down the two there. They say to go ahead and tighten down the other ones as well while we're tightening. That's a good idea. While I have it vertical here, I'm going to tighten down the motor. And that should make everything fairly rigid. And then last but not least, I'm going to come back up here to the lead screw nut and actually tighten those down, kind of letting it rest where it is so that it moves as freely as possible with no binding. Yeah, Alan, I saw that, is that they actually do have a lot of warehouses in the EU and the United States, which gives you free shipping if you order it directly from them or from the Amazon link. I noticed on the Amazon link they had $50 off too, at least when I was looking. All right, so everything's tightened down. Everything is moving really well. So obviously you're going to ask about that single Z screw, which I just saw from Asker, and we're going to take a look at that. We're going to get everything tightened up first, and then we'll take a look. So I think that's it for the first page. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. So that's it for the front. So we are all ready to go. Next up, we are going to need 4 M5x20s. Let me go ahead and check the screws on the top of this motor, make sure that they are good and tight, and they do appear to be. All right. M5x20s, we're going to need these to actually attach the upper frame to the lower housing. All right, so they're showing it. Front, just the 4 underneath the base. So let's get that done. So the front of the printer is where the, yep, this is the back where the motor is. The front of the printer is where the display is going to be and where our sway rods are going to be put. I got a little sticker over here that they use to tell you which way to screw it in, or excuse me, yeah, actually slide it on. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that sticker off because I don't want a sticker there on my printer. All right, so I'm going to flip it on its side very carefully. My least favorite part about building a printer is when you have to put a printer in awkward positions to be able to put it together. So I'm going to actually get these screws started. Okay, and then I get in the second one. Once I get a few of these started, I should be a lot more confident that this thing is not going to fall over on me. Let's go ahead and grab, I think, my biggest, yep, biggest hex key that it comes with. But I don't think it's finding the hole yet. Let me see. May need to go and get the ones on the other side. that's not tapping yet. I guess I'm going to tighten down this top one a little bit more. Maybe that'll get me closer. So you're not going to be able to see me now, but it will help me align the whole printer. Again, just getting back here in the back. There we go. Got the other one tapped. All right, both of these are looking good. Let me see if I can do any adjustment to make sure we're square as possible here. We'll have to make sure that we're perfectly square when we put on the sway rods. There we go. And then this bottom one here. I don't know if I have. Yep, okay. And the last one. I'm going to go ahead and flip this over because it'll make my life easier. And there goes the bed. I think someone was just commenting on in the comments. Now, if everyone has not seen Practical Printing's video on whether he believes that the back current can actually damage anything, go check that out. Practical Printing has a really fun, educational, and entertaining channel. And if you haven't taken a look at his channel, he did one where he basically just ran those motors as hard as they could with his hand, going back and forth to see if he could cause any damage to his main board. I think it was just on a stock Ender 3, and he could not cause any damage at all to the main board by just driving them as hard as he could manually. So obviously that doesn't mean that it's not possible, but I have never damaged one. I don't know if I personally know anyone that's damaged it by moving the bed or by moving the any part of the printer. So thanks, DJ, about your comments. No, I have not had time to check yet. I've been working on 2 other videos simultaneously, as well as my day job, as well as a contract job. So unfortunately, the Ender 3 Max has been sitting, not actually being worked on since that video. But I will get back to it because I do want to get it running. So there we go. So we're up right now. Everything is hooked up. And it is super stable. Now if this wobbles at all as I'm shaking it, don't blame the printer. My table I don't think is 100% level across the surface of the table. It is wood. All right. So let's see what's next. Step 4, we're going top to bottom here. Next up we're going to do these sway rods. See if I can actually just pull it out rather than having to unwrap it. So these feel like, I thought they were carbon, but I actually think they're aluminum. I think they're aluminum extrusions, and they have just the tips in them. All right, let's see if we can get these off. Okay. And now we're going to put on the sway rods, and we need 4 M4x8s, which are these short ones, which you can determine by the by-8s. All right. So these sway rods are going to go up into, let's see, I'm going to make sure I install them as indicated. So the sway rods go right here, and they say to put them on the inside. And I think we go through the sway rod into, not the right size, is it? No, I need a bigger one. Da, da, da. All right, we got plenty of tools here. So I'm going to put the sway rod in the bottom one first, and then we will adjust to length afterwards. They say to put it on the inside, I believe. Is that correct? So on the bottom, it looks like it's on the inside, and on the top, it looks like it's on the inside as well. Hello from Indiana. First time checking you live. I appreciate it, 3D Jeff. Thank you for joining me. You've picked an interesting stream to join me live, because this one has not been going to plan. You will not see close-ups today as I usually have prepared, because my mic or OBS Studio, one or the other, is not playing right. And so I have to get that straightened up for the next live stream. So I'm lining up my sway bars here. It's funny. I almost feel like this one here should be on the outside. I'm not sure if their picture is 100% accurate because it doesn't feel right. So I'm going to actually put the one on the bottom on the outside. We're going to see if that fits better, because when I put it on the inside, I had to twist it. Okay, so that feels much better. I'm actually on the bottom. I'm actually going to put the sway rods on the outside, which you'll see on this outside over here, on this outside over here, and then I'm trying to decide if it should be on the, yeah, I think on the outside up here too. They feel better for some reason. I felt like it wasn't quite right the other way. I don't think it'll matter a whole lot, but there we go. I'm going to tighten these down. And after I do, I haven't actually tightened my screws yet here. I do not have a machinist square, but I do have my builder square. I'm actually going to check square of the frame. I'm going to raise this up. I'm going to check. I mean, if you're going to have sway bars, might as well use them for what they're for and actually square your frame off. So I'm going to square this frame. And that frame, right as it is perfectly square. So I'm going to go and tighten down my nuts, which are actually holding it all down. Did it come with a tool? Let's see if this tool does it. No, that tool won't do it. You may actually have to have an extra tool like I do to actually tighten them down properly. But I am going to tighten them down so that we don't have any sway or wobble here. There we go. What's going on? I've got let's see, did you get your hands on the new Big Tree Tech stuff like the SKR2, E3 RRF, but not an E3 RRF yet? Yes, so I do have an E3 RRF sitting over here in my cabinet, which I will get to when it makes it to its spot on the list. And I have the SKR2, I believe, on the way. So, yes to both. And I know everyone's going to be gunning for a full guide on that too, and so I hope I can do that as soon as it gets here. I may take that SKR2 and move it to a newer, a closer spot on the front of the line, because I know people are going to be looking for that. And I do my best to try to get those guides out as soon as possible. Okay, trying to spread this out a little bit. You know, I'm not sure 100% if this rod is straight. Maybe that's what I was feeling on the other one. So while I've already said my table's not 100% straight, is the rod straight? I'm going to find out. Well, it's pretty straight. So I don't know what I'm feeling, because it looks straight when it's on the table. So, all right. Again, I'm going to get everything lined up so I can get it in the holes. And then once I get it in the holes, I'll make sure that that side is also square. A lot of people chatting. I'm not going to be able to keep up while building, so at me if you need me for anything, at me. Okay, and let's take our square. See if that one is square. Yep, that is 100% square as well. So I will say at least their cuts on the frame, that they cut those verticals, seem really, really square, because I'm not having to do any squaring of this frame on either side. So really, really nice to see that they are building them well. Again, just like the other side, I will tighten down the nuts so that the sway rods don't move once installed. All right, there we go. Looks good to me. I'm gonna take a quick drink. All right, let's do, that's that one. So now they want us to go ahead and connect all of the different things that we should connect. So we have all of these wires over here, and they are saying that we've got EX, yeah, there's a lot of wiring. Where did they give us some sort of diagram? Yes. There are some diagrams. So I'm going to have to go around, turn this way, and then we have this. So let's go ahead and plug in this connector. So I've been told that these kind of connectors are not ideal for beds, but I will say that they've done a good job with a lot of solder. There are 3 connections for ground, 3 connections for power, which is giving this a very rigid feel. It'd be nice if there was some additional strain relief on here so that it wasn't actually using the solder for strain relief, but it does feel okay. And this is a very light, flexible cable that's on here. So probably not a problem, just not ideal. And let's keep going with my plugs. So here we have the extruder motor, which needs to be plugged in right here. All right, we have the X motor, which is going to need to be plugged in. This is the X end stop actually. So it's going to go all the way around to where the X end stop is inside. Turn it this way a little bit. So inside right here, there's the X end stop. And that should be, if I can get my fingers in there, this should be the X motor. And then we have the E end stop, which is basically just the filament runout sensor, which is actually integrated into our extruder. So it's all one piece, which I like better than Creality's separate filament runout detection, because this way you're not having to put it through an additional set of guides. It's all going through the same guide system, which is going to save you a lot of effort trying to get everything pulled out. So, not loving the way that these wires are kind of being stretched. I think we've got some ties there we're going to be able to do. Let's see, the motors need plugging, I'm sure. So underneath here we have the LCD, which we're going to run to the front, which is going to be on this side of the printer here. But I can go ahead and run the cable while I'm thinking about it. We can do this motor, which should be the Z motor given the length of the cable. Yep. And the Y motor is already actually plugged in. So the only thing I'm not seeing is a Z in stop, and that's probably what was in the bag over here. So connect E, X, Y, Z, LCD. That's step 7. I'm ahead of myself. Let me show you why I need to be paying attention to the numbers. So they did 1 and 2 here, then they did 3 and 4 here, and then instead of continuing to go down the page, this is 7, which is just where I went to, but I was supposed to go up here to 5. So skipping back to 5, we're going to go ahead and install the limit switch, the filament holder, yada, yada, yada. So, got a couple of these and a couple of these. Let's go ahead and put on the rest. So the lead screw bearing bracket. So we have the lead screw bearing bracket, which is this little bracket here, which is going to go at the top of our lead screw to keep it straight. I'm going to take that and that. It's really interesting how they've done this, and again, you're not going to be able to get it super close up, but hopefully you've got it big enough on your monitor or TV where you can see what they've got is they've got a bearing in here, but the bearing is loose. So it can move just a little bit inside, but it stays in the bearing the whole time. So it's not just a big hole that it can move around in a little bit. They've made it where the bearing has a little bit of leeway, which I kind of like. I think it's an interesting way of doing it. Anyway, so hopefully we have the holes here for this. We're going to need M4x16s. Yeah, these two. And then, if we're lucky, we'll be able to find exactly what we were looking for. And I don't remember seeing screws up here. Let's hope there are. Yep, there are holes up here. All right. I was paying attention. I know where it went. All right. So let's put this in here, and then that should go right over here. Just have to find the hole real quick. And then that will keep that nice and rigid, but not too rigid. That's what the extrusions are for. So that goes right up here, and then that goes right up here. All right, good and tight. And again, just a little bit of play, but not too much. And then we're going to do the filament holder, which are going to be these right here. And they are going to go apparently behind the motor. So right here on the chassis, there are 2 holes, and that's where our filament holder is going to go in. So I have to say, if I was going to have to mount my filament, my spool holder somewhere on the printer, I actually do like the idea of putting it right down here rather than on any of the verticals. I think this was a really good design choice on their part. M5x20s, yeah, this seems overkill for these holes. But I really like their design choice here because this is a lot better than putting it somewhere else on here. And it puts it right at the correct angle to, actually, if you'll notice, I'm going to pull this back out a minute because this is kind of cool. They actually angled the entire filament spool holder so that the filament lines up with where the nozzle is going to be moving up and down, or where the actual extruder is. So right there, the extruder's on this side, and they've angled the bracket to where when you put your filament on there, it's actually going to be going directly into the extruder, which is, like I said, just a terrific idea. These screws don't feel like the right ones, but apparently they are. It just seemed too long for the job at hand. I'm trying to read a little bit about what you've been talking about. After almost a year of near daily use, the carriage wheels were starting to wear and the X-axis cable died. Not the driver. Major upgrade time. I gotcha. Again, these screws are really long. They put 20mm screws to hold this filament spool holder on. I don't think they would have stripped with 10. There we go. And there we go. So again, this is actually pretty sturdy. I mean, I can put just a little bit of weight on it and, you know, it bends a little bit, but it doesn't break. So good on them. I like where that's set up. Number 6, we're going to go ahead and attach this touch screen with M5x6s, as well as the Z N-stop, which already has a T-nut in the bag. How do they want to do this? So install the Z limit switch. The installation height is flush with the upper edge of the white wheel. White label, excuse me. The white label I already took off. So remember when I took off that label earlier? Apparently I was supposed to leave that on as an indicator of where that was supposed to go. I'm not too concerned. We'll figure it out. So, I'll line that up. So does it go on the outside? Yep, it goes on the outside. I'm going to pretend that there is still a label here. Do I still have that label? Did I throw it away? There's a label. All right, so I'm going to put that label back briefly. There we go. Figure out about where that height of that label was. And then I'm going to screw that back in. So there's our Z N-stop. DJ is asking about my results on the Mini versus the 1.4 turbo in terms of the processors. I have never seen anyone do another benchmark personally the way I did it, where they were actually benchmarking the performance of the main board. If anyone else has, I would love to see it. I probably should do an entire video on why I did that and what my methodology was. Do it, DJ. Do it. Please share the results with me or the community or something. I'd love to see it. Let me know. I haven't seen another YouTuber do it for sure. All right, so that's in there. Let's go ahead and now put on our display. I'm going to use this opportunity, since the display says to set my voltage. I think now would be an excellent time to set my voltage. That's actually underneath the printer. Nope, it's on the outside. It's on this side over here, and I'm going to turn it to 115. So that's been done. Now I can install the display. Again, this is a good sized display here. And let's go ahead. It wants to use these M5x6s. And they are going to go on this side over here. I already have my plug that I ran down here. Make sure we're not on the bed or anything. I'm going to run it underneath the rails. And then I have the display. I'm going to go ahead and get it plugged into the display cable. Actually, that's going to be on the outside. But plug in that display cable, and then I can go ahead and attach these. All right, you know how I put my sway rods on the outside? Well, if you put your sway rods on the outside, the display doesn't fit. So, we're going to move our sway rods back to the inside, because I did that wrong. And I'm a big enough man to admit that. So, moving the sway rods back to the inside. Luckily, since I tightened the nuts down, I shouldn't have to re-figure out that length. And this is why you watch the live streams, so that when you put together one of these printers, you don't make the same mistakes I do. And then when I'm done, I will double check that I am still square. So I'm having to redo it all. All right. Okay. Tight. And I'll do the other side in a minute because I do want them symmetrical. And where's my square? I set it somewhere. All right. I know I set it somewhere. There it is. All right. I'll check that my extrusion is square. Technically, it looks like it could, trying to figure out if that's me. Looks like it could possibly go out a little bit. I'm going to readjust a little bit. Thank you, Owling. I appreciate the comment on the chat. I always go for non-toxic chats because if anything like that shows up on my live streams, they will get kicked. It's pretty easy. Yeah, we like constructive 3D printer talk on this channel. All right, let's see. Is that better? Yes, that's better. Okay, so we're all square up now. On this side, I'm going to have to retighten everything down here. And grab my pliers. Now, a spanner would be better to tighten these down with, but this is what I have at hand. So if you've got a spanner, some sort of wrench would be better than these pliers I'm using. But they'll do the job. Let's go ahead and get that display on while I'm on this side. You know, CNC maker, you're probably right. That probably would have worked. I was trying to figure that out a minute ago. But yeah, I think so. I think that's the way it's supposed to work. He said, can I just twist the black section to make it longer or shorter? And I think that that is how it's supposed to work. All right, I'm going to remove my warning label because I've already done what it told me to. All right, I am going to fix the other side. I do think I've gotten all of my connections in now, but I do want to, let's go ahead and fix this side back. See, everyone, you know, 3D printer manufacturers should take note about everyone's concern about the one lead screw, because ultimately perception matters. So even if, for example, Longer did all their testing and they determined that that second lead screw didn't make any difference whatsoever, perception's important. And if the perception in the 3D printing community is single Z-screwed bad, 2 Z-screwed good, then I don't know why you'd want to go through the hassle to try to educate people and just give them 2 lead screws. That's my personal opinion. I mean, if I'm running a business and that's what I want to do, sell printers, you know. All right, and that side is still square. We are good. Let's see if there is any additional steps I need to take. So step 7 was all of the cabling, which to the best of my knowledge is all in place now. Yep, I think that's it. It is going to tell us to do leveling now because apparently we're done. All done. So about an hour and a half of build if you consider all the freaking audio problems I've had. That's not too bad. So I'm going to clean up just a touch here and be ready to go. I think I will do a little bit of cable management. And then we will, of course, tighten up all of our rollers and everything that we need to do. Let me see, is there any talk about using zip ties? I don't see any talk about zip ties. It does come with it. I was wondering if there were any suggestions for cable ties, but I don't see any. So we're just going to do the job of making sure that everything is the way it should. So first of all, they do include a blue tubing instead of a white tubing. I'm sure it's not like official Capricorn, but it is blue. Now they have screwed up something a little bit. If you'll notice, there's an arc right here in our actual tube. So this is too tight for the tube, and so we're going to have a pinch case right here. I'm standing behind the printer, but we're going to have a pinch case right here with our filament, and we don't want to do that. So right off the bat, we can't actually change the length. Well, we have a couple of options, but I'm going to cut a couple of these cable ties and get this fixed. I'm going to cut this one here, and then we will have to add that one back. And then I think I need to go and cut this one here, and then we will add it back as well. But I need to get this arc right here straightened up as much as possible. So if we do that, now it's going to take a little bit of flexing. All right, so I've got the flex out of there, I think. Could I shorten the PTFE? Yeah, probably. But I'm not going to. I'm going to leave it the length that it came. At least for now. Like, you know, later down the path, sure. I want to print with it as much stock as possible. I don't think changing the cable ties is a big deal. But it's important to note you don't want that big hump there. So, took care of that one. And now what I want to do with the rest of my cable ties is just make sure that these cables are all constrained correctly. So I'm going to take this one that I clipped, and I'm going to attach it back to the extruder. I don't want anything necessarily to be too tight, but you don't want it to move either. So now the other thing I want to do here, I don't really like how this whole thing here, our cable harness, is, I wish it wasn't supporting our connectors. Like our connectors are keeping it all from sagging too much. I wish that we could constrain it right here on the back of this motor or something, and we can't really do that. And I don't really see another hole anywhere to fix that. So that's just going to have to be how it is, unfortunately. I don't see another hole anywhere in that area that I could put a cable tie. But by moving this, by fixing this issue, I already see that this is looser than it was. It already has more movement. So this needed to be fixed because this is already better. Any other place I need cable ties? I could add some cable ties to this one for the LCD. But the cable ties it came with aren't long enough to do that, so I'll have to get some of my own, which isn't important right now because this one's not going to get in the way of anything moving. All right, so now let's check the motion. Let's see. Yeah, so this one I already tell you is too loose. This bottom wheel moves freely. So I'm going to need to get the spanners that it came with, which I just had. I remember seeing a stream that Joel did where he looked the entire stream for, I forgot what he was looking for, a USB key or something, and he couldn't find it. It's like right now this spanner, why I set it back here, I have no earthly idea. But the eccentric nut on here is on the inside, which makes sense. Both of these are just freewheeling. So I need to tighten the eccentric nut here. Don't really know if it's up or down. Looks like it's down, not up. Yeah, it's down. So let me make sure that I want them to where when I like hand move them, they try to move the gantry. Obviously, it's not going to be able to because of the lead screw, but that's a lot better now. Now they're snug, but not too tight. Again, if you put them too tight, you're going to cause new levels of problems. So I can tell you, since these wheels have been sitting, there appears to be a flat spot on them. Yeah, there's definitely a flat spot from shipping because they ship tight. Like while I was saying that these were too loose, these are too tight. And they're causing a flat spot when you're leaving it undone. So let's loosen this up. Oh yeah, that's already better. Best way to get this is to loosen it until they're loose, and then just barely tighten it until you can move them with your fingers. And they move the, see, I've already gotten rid of that lump that was there from it being tied down too tight. That's already better. Okay, and then the last ones, these might actually be okay. So I've got what, too loose, too tight, and did I get one that's just right? The bottom one's a little loose. So I'm going to go just a little bit tighter on here. That's pretty good. All right. So it's kind of a feel. You know, you'll play with it. You'll learn how to do it. Does the support rods look like they'll get in the way of using the printer? I don't think so. No, I mean, they're pretty unobtrusive. I mean, they're not that big around. So I think we're ready to do our test print. I'm actually going to leave it facing this way. I will come around front to mess with it, because since I don't have my close-up camera, at least while I'm talking, I can get everything going like this. So let's get the plastic wrap off of the build plate. Everything's done being built. It's ready to level. Now you'll notice this does not have auto leveling, but the touchscreen is supposedly has leveling built into the touchscreen that's pretty good. All right. Oh, so here's the satisfying pill for everybody. Do not print with the plastic on it. It's plastic's serious business. There we go. Nice job on the plastic. This goes straight on here. All right, and it does come with clips, so we're going to use those to hold it all down. Obviously, they need to be on the front and back, not on the sides, because if they were on the sides, they're going to run into the extrusions. I'll put those right there and there. So we should be good to go. Now we just need to do bed leveling, and they recommend 0.1 to 0.2 gap, which I have found when using my filler gauges that the 0.1 is probably my favorite so far. To this day, it's probably my favorite. Well, the rods get in the way of accessing parts of the printer. I don't know how they would. Let me know what you're talking about, because I don't see why that would be an issue. All right, so next up, let's go ahead. Well, I guess we need to power it on, but I was coming over here for my feeler gauges, because I had them next to some other printers. All right, so power cable. Power it up. I will have to turn this sideways so that I can use it for now, because me being in front of it's not going to be any helpful anyway. And we have power. But I'm not seeing anything on the display. I'm not seeing anything on the display. The fans are on. Fan is not on the hot end. We do not have power. Power supply is on only, but this is a direct connect to the power supply, so that's not helpful. But I'm not getting display, I'm not getting hot end fan, I'm not getting anything on that main board. Do I smell anything? Not really. It is on 115, not 230 because I'm in the US. So, let's do some double checking. A little bit of live debugging. You know, it's how the rest of the stream's going. So, let me double check my cable connection here. Unplug and replug. See if that makes any difference. Maybe I didn't have that seated all the way. Try again. Still not seeing anything. Nope, nothing on the display. Connection is good. Nothing. All right. So, I guess it's time to crack everything back open and find out if I screwed something up. The only thing I unplugged was a couple of the connections, but I'm pretty sure you guys would have called me out if I would have missed something. So it's going to go back over this way. Let's find out. So there's no exposed wiring for me to really troubleshoot. Everything is in the case. And again, all of my connections look good. That one says why. The bed connection looks good. I've unplugged my power to do this. All of my other connections are just fine. Get my camera out of the way. Okay, so fun. Let's go ahead and get this bottom box back off. Is there supposed to be a second ribbon to the display? Nope. There's no other connections on the back of this display. It is clear. Let's get to the bottom of this. I'm not used to. I think this is the first one that's not powered back on after I've done this. This is pretty odd. 5 ducks. Thank you for the 5 ducks. $5 from Dale Scott from Canada. Thanks, Chris, new subscriber. I've been binge watching your Ender 5 Plus videos, getting ready to buy my first printer. Well, thank you, Dale. I appreciate that. Apparently, I need to put out some more Ender 5 Plus content because I am still finding the vast majority of the people on my channel are coming to me for Ender 5 Plus. So I will have some more Ender 5 Plus content. Hey, Pink Mouse, have you missed much? Yes, you've missed a ton. You've missed pretty much the most interesting stream I've ever done. But not interesting in a good way, so you didn't miss anything. Is the power plugged in and turned on? Yep, Kyle is saying I need more Ender 5 Plus content. I hate talking about the Ender 5 Plus while I'm building someone else's printer, but it's, you know, it's a live stream. What am I supposed to do? There's one stupid screw on the bottom. Down here, which is just so much fun. All right. Trying not to break anything further. Notice how I said further. So if you're just tuning in, I am currently working on this printer, which will not power up for me. So let's go ahead and undo this fan. Hopefully this red stuff they have on here comes off. It does. So we won't need that cover for anytime soon. And let me see what got screwed up. So there are 5 connections to the power supply, and that's all. We have the 3 connections coming from the wall plug. We have 2 connections then going to the main board. Now the 2 main board connections are coming. You know what I'm going to have to do? Let me go ahead and snip this connector off of here because I need to move this whole thing. There's 2. But I can't get to everything I want to get to. Not easily. All right. So, okay. If you need me, please at me because I'm going to be figuring this out. So again, there's 2 plugs. There's one going directly to the main board. That's one of those T connectors that I was telling you about earlier. And that is a good connector, and that looks fine. There is another connector that's going to go to our main board that is a T connector. That is soldered on and looks fine. And let's put those back in here. That goes there. That goes there. Okay. What else could there be? The connectors that go to the hot end, I pulled that out to check it, and it is still good. I'm double checking that I didn't loosen anything, and that still looks fine. And when you plug these in, there's only one way to plug them in because there is a clamp and there's still red glue. So those are all still fine. My stepper drivers are all plugged in the way that they came. No changes there. I'm going to double check that A4988. Ground. VDD, yep. That's plugged in right. Matches my pin. All right. Where does the display? The display comes from here, and there is nothing on the display. So, I guess I'm going to plug it one more time in now that I've unplugged and plugged it back in. Yeah, I'm going to check a few things, but I'm going to, let's do this. All right, I'm going to turn it back on one more time. Now it's cutting on. Let me make sure it comes all the way on. Okay, we're good. I don't know if I had a bad connection. I'm not 100% sure what that was. Yep, we are good. Yeah, there's no fuses on this board. I mean, there's no replaceable fuses on this board. But anyway, it looks like we're good. I'm not going to put the cover back on because if it goes out on me again, I don't want to have to pull it back off. So hopefully you'll excuse me for not doing that. But let's not put the cover on. Open air, it'll have plenty of air. But we'll deal with that later. I want to get to the test print. Okay. So I'm going to cut on the display here. Again, when I get to the printing part, what I'll probably do is move this around a little bit and give you close-ups while it's printing, while I don't need to actually be talking, You can take a look at the display, you know, get a little bit more to the views that I can't show you far out. Hopefully that'll give you a little bit of a view of the display. So there we go. And I'm going to take my feeler gauges here. And again, as I said, I'm finding really good results with the 0.1 millimeter feeler gauge. And it looks good. All right, so the first thing we want to do, let's go to Utilities. And we're going to go to Leveling. And hopefully, I haven't leveled or homed or anything. I guess I should have done that. Let me do that. Hopefully it was going to do that. I'm just going to press Home, which is down here in the lower left. No, that doesn't actually home the bed. It just takes me to the home screen. But let's home. Are you sure you want? Yes. So this is homing X and Y, just to make sure everything is working properly. Of course, I'm not level. My table's not wide enough. I don't care. It's not going anywhere. All right, so it homed X and Y. Let's home Z. Once I start printing, I'll make sure it's good and stable. Didn't know I would need my large board up here on the table. I'm curious to see where this puts it height-wise since the Z screw was variable. I'm curious to see, or excuse me, the Z end stop was variable. Where is this actually going to stop it? It's actually not too far off. It could be a little bit lower and I would be a little bit happier. I'm worried it's going to hit that cooling fan. I'm going to move this out a little bit. All right. So I'm actually going to lower that Z end stop just a touch because I think it would be better. Okay, let's try that. That may put us a better distance away. All right. So let's home Z again. Yes, I'm sure. All right, so I'm right on the bed now, which gives me just perfect. I can now home from here. All right, what's it sitting on? All right. So we're going to heat up before we actually do the leveling. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to say Tune. I'm going to do, doesn't look like it has any preheat ability. Now I'm not seeing any preheat. I just have to manually do it. So nozzle temperature, we're going to set to 200. All right. And we're going to go to heat bed temperature and we're going to set that to 60. And we're going to give it a minute to heat up. Okay. And then we will be ready to level the bed. So far, I'm not actually willing to blame them for whatever we saw there with the booting issue, due to the fact that I went in there and messed with things before I turned it on. And when I went in there and messed with things again, I fixed it. So given the fact that I touched things before I actually power it on, I'm not going to blame them for whatever was going on there. I may have jostled something that shouldn't have been jostled. So this will take just a minute. Ooh, I'm smelling that fresh printer smell. That new heat bed smell. Ooh, yeah, that's pretty strong. Don't worry, I have a fire extinguisher at all times. Just in case. So I have to say, you guys are here for a special stream because as of right now, looking at the stream count, this is probably my smallest stream like in a long time. I don't know if this is because other YouTubers were doing live streams today and so maybe people found a better place to go, or if people were not interested in this particular model. But I appreciate you all being here. I mean, it's awesome. This is a lot of fun. I'm liking this printer. I mean, the construction was really, really easy. And the sway bars being a part of the actual design is absolutely fantastic. Red light flashing. Yes, the red light flashing is probably the heat bed light. Actually, no, I think there are two red lights in there. The one that you see flashing, I think, is for the hot end because we've already hit temp, so it's PID hitting it. We have a solid red light under there that you can't see over the flickering one that I think is for the heat bed because it's not actually having to flicker, it's just heating at this point. So we are at 200, already of course on the nozzle. This is heating up really fast. We're already at 50 on the bed. So it's doing good. So 10 more degrees or so and we'll get started. I'm not going to be as crazy about leaving it going. Yep. Yeah, you're probably right, DJ. They probably don't have PID on the bed. They might, but I think you're right about the light. That's probably what's going on. 24 volt, yes, it is a 24 volt power supply. So let's go ahead and go with this. We're at 55. That's good enough for me to get started. Normally, I would let it heat up and actually let it sit for a few minutes, particularly since it's a new bed, new printer. Letting it level out for a little while would be a good idea. But since we're just doing a test print, I'm not going to be a real stickler for that. So let's go to utilities. I'm going to go to leveling, and it's got a leveling grid, as actually you can see pretty well on the screen now. So I'm going to hit 1. It's going to home, X, Y, and Z. Again, you can use a sheet of paper for this. I like the feeler gauges because they're precise and they don't give. So the metal feeler gauges, paper, you have to find, is it scraping too much? Is it scraping too little? I don't find that with the feeler gauges. It's metal, so it doesn't give you that many options. So right now, you got to scrape off. They actually do look like they tested the printer because it does look like there was filament on the tip. So once I scrape that out of the way, I've got a little bit of room to move it down. But then it's nice and tight, so let's go to 2. I like the touchscreen. Seems responsive. I like the 0.1 feeler gauge. You can go with different ones. I've heard of different people using different sizes, but the 0.1 I'm getting the best results with across multiple printers. If that's what you were asking. Yeah. All right. And if you were wondering, it does have the nice yellow springs on it, as you probably can see. But the nice yellow springs that everyone likes that are a little bit stiffer than the typical, silver springs. That one's good. Okay. I have to go around back for this one. Okay, that one's good. And we go to 4. So yeah, I'm actually wearing mine off a little bit, but can you read that? It says 0.1. I don't know if you can read it. Okay. Okay, and then if all is still good, I usually go around twice. I mean, I can go back to 1 real quick and see if by modifying those other ones, if it changed 1 very much. Yeah, 1's a little too tight now. That's why I usually go around twice. Okay, 1's good. Let's check out 2. You don't even need to check 3 excuse me, you don't need to check 5, which is your center, until all of your other ones are good. Because you can't do anything about center by itself. Center is just the results of your corners. So let's go ahead and do 3. Tighten this one up. A little bit too tight. Okay, and then 4 one more time. A little bit tighter on this one more time. Okay. Now the center, if their bed is nice and flat now, should be just right. Should be 0.1 also. Yep, that is a beautiful result. So the bed is good and flat because I went around twice, got everything level. When I went to the center, maybe it's, you know, a few thou different than the corners, but definitely not much. So it looks good. Build size, 300 by 300, Jeff. Thanks for joining us. So that's all done. So now we are ready. So notice when I left the screen, you probably didn't see it, but it actually went up to get it off of the bed, which terrific. So now I'm going to go ahead and try their auto filament loading while I'm here. I'm going to say filament. Filament type, PLA. Interesting. Okay. So you select the type of filament you want, and then it's going to heat up to temp. By the way, I'm going to go and say this now. Looks like when I went to that bed leveling screen, it looks like it actually dropped temperature. Like it didn't hold temperature while I was on the bed leveling screen. So that may not actually work. You may not even be able to bed level at temp unless you're really quick about it. I hope that's not the case, but that's what it looks like it is, because right now it's having to heat back up. But I've selected, anyway, back to the filament screen. I select what type of filament I'm loading. So in this case, PLA. And then it's going to heat up the bed and the nozzle for the loading process. Technically, of course, it doesn't need to heat up the bed to load filament, but whatever. It's got a cooling button for either one if you want to cool it back down. And it does have a temperature for the filament if you want to change the default filament temperature. So, as I mentioned, they did send along a roll of their filament. This is their purple filament. And you can find the link to this on Amazon. And the price for this filament was really good. So if it's a good filament, the price is right for sure. I'm going to pull that out. It was around $20 when I looked at it for this filament here in the United States. Grab a knife. I don't see any sort of tear. Nope. Nope. That's not a resealable bag, unfortunately. But few companies do at this point, unless they're higher end filament companies. Hey, no problem, Anthony. I'm glad I could help. Nova, good to see you. Just joined. What is your building? This is a Longer LK5 Pro. And we had a little bit of a problem getting it turning on, but again, I'm not blaming Longer since I had already opened it up and mucked with it, and I was able to fix it just by mucking with it again. So that may have been on me. All right, so I'm going to cut off my filament at some sort of angle, and we're going to put it back here. Let's see. Yeah, we'll go this way. I'm going to stick it in. They do have a filament runout sensor, so we're going to put it through the filament runout sensor, and then we're going to put it into the beginning of the extruder gears, and then I'm going to try their auto load and see how it works. Not something I usually use on a printer. I usually find that it's slower to use the auto loading feature than it is to do it yourself. But while I'm here, I'm going to give it a shot. So we're going to just say load. and it wants to say press OK to stop. I like that. So there's no set distance that it wants to do. It actually just is going to keep loading until we tell it that it's loaded. That may be actually one of the most efficient loading that I've seen. And it's going at a decent speed. It's not actually like crazy slow. The only thing I'm going to knock the printer on off the bat will be the cooling. I don't like single-sided cooling. I don't care if it's a Crowdy printer. I don't care if it's a Longer printer. But they've got this single-sided cooler on here. Now, if you notice, they went with a 40mm fan on their cooler to keep it quiet. So this is going to be quieter cooling, but I don't know how efficient it's going to be. So when I do my overhang testing on a full review, we're going to have to see, does this actually do the job? Definitely is probably not going to do the job on overhangs on the other side. Still loading. Now you see why I don't usually use the auto load feature. Because this is slow. I could have pushed this through so much faster. So while your filament is loading, go have one of your favorite beverages. Wow. I'm about to go give it a hand. Wow, okay. I mean, it's pulling it through. It's just pulling it through pretty slowly. Oh yeah, that's real slow. All right. I helped it along. Now it's extruding. Okay. So now I can, okay, so they actually did test it like I said they did. So I'm guessing the electronics were working at some point. Raise this up a little bit so we don't end up with filament all over it. All right, so when it starts to run purple, we're good to go. So we can say OK. And it immediately quits loading, keeps it at temp. I'm going to go back, Utilities. I'm going to say Home. It actually keeps it up to temp, so we're already preheated at this point. Let's grab our SD card and find out what inconvenient location they put it here. Good job, DJ. Without Brian here to keep going with those puns, I'm glad someone's taking his lead there. All right, so it does have a micro SD card that it comes with. Let's see, so they put it all the way back here on the back next to the USB port. I'm guessing facing up. All right. So at this point, we can come in here and we will go print, which is on the far right. We can take a look at our files. And we have whistles, vases, feng shui, cube, boat. So we've got an entire screen of different prints that we can do. So what are you thinking? What are you feeling like? Whistle, vase, feng shui, cube, or boat? I'm leaning towards cube, boat, or whistle. So give me your opinion. Cube, boat, or whistle. We'll just go by a quick vote here, see what people want to do. Vase wasn't an option. Let's see. I mean, obviously, it's going to probably take an hour. What I'll do is what I usually do. I'll leave it going. Oh, we got 2 for whistle. But I'll leave the stream going while it's doing, which is just fine because I'll be able to do close-up without any problem and get you some music going. And I'll come back when it's done. Whistle, whistle, whistle. Yes. Yeah, you know, they do need to come up with like a way to put the time of the print on the screen so you know ahead of time. All right, so let's do whistle. and you just click it and you say open and say, do you really want to start printing? And I will say yes. I'm pretty sure about that. And we are now going to wait for it to start. I'm going to grab off that little bit of filament while it's moving. There we go. You know, it's one thing it didn't come with. While it came with the scraper, it didn't come with flush cutters. So that's the usual piece of equipment that it's missing. So I'm going to keep it like this until I make sure that first layer goes down well. And once the first layer goes down, I can give you a close-up. It's looking good. Yeah. Ah, beautiful first layer. It is whistle shaped and it is a raft, but it's going down extremely nice. Yeah, that was definitely the right height. We've got good squish on the build plate. So I think it's doing kind of a modified raft, really, because usually a raft will have multiple layers of the kind of that separation layer that it usually does. It'll have like one going one way, one going the other way, or something like that. And this one only has the single under layer, and now it's already putting a full layer on top of it. It shouldn't matter. It should be fine. It's just a shorter raft. So hopefully you can see that all right. Like I said, in just a moment, I will switch it to the close-up, give you some background music while I take a break and we let it print, and then I'll come back for final opinion. How's the Ender 5 Plus treating me? Which one are you wondering if it can handle clipper plus fluid? The Ender 5 Plus or this longer printer? Frank S., I think your stream is behind if you're still voting, which means that you won't hear me say this until about 10 minutes from now. Both. Given that this is probably just running Marlin with just a smart display talking to it, it can probably handle Clipper. I don't know what the display will do, though. I mean, if it doesn't talk the same language, it's going to be hard to get it to work. Ender 5 Plus probably doesn't handle Clipper at all with the stock display if you plan on using the display, but it would be able to handle it if you change the display, which is what I tell. If you're not going to stick with the stock main board, just get rid of the display too. You're going to end up with so much more functionality. I mean, I think one of the most common things I say no to on the channel, definitely the most common thing I say no to, is do you have to have the regular display? Do you have to have the regular display? Or excuse me, do you have to change the display? And the answer, yes, you have to change the display. No, I will not be releasing a firmware that supports the original display. Clipper or Marlin, which is best? Yes. So Clipper is supposed to be faster, higher performance. Marlin is easy and comes on your printer. So I haven't used Clipper yet, to be honest. I haven't had time. But it is on my list. I'm a Linux guy, so doing Clipper should be pretty easy for me. I will say this thing's quiet. I mean, I'm going to stand right next to it and shut up for a minute. Really quiet. Yeah, it's really quiet. Yeah. Anyway, back to my rant on the display. Don't keep the stock display if you're going to change the main board. Just change them both at the same time. You're really hindering yourself keeping the stock display and just trying to keep it because it fits nice. Print you some mounts, change the mount, you know, get you a better display. You can go with the 5-inch or the 7-inch from Big Tree Tech if you want a bigger display and that's what's been holding you back. But don't recommend it otherwise. Yeah, I would really like to use clipper. It is on my longer list of to do. So I do hope to get to clipper. I'm not too worried about getting it working, but. So you've been mentioning the RRF. I do have one here. I'm going to step off camera for a minute and actually see where I put it. Here it is. So, yep, I did get the SKR RRF E3. It comes with a antenna for your Wi-Fi, and it's a nice board. They did a nice looking board here. It's a ARM processor. Boom. I know this is not up close. That's a little up closer. That's a nice board. I haven't had a chance to plug it in yet, and I have not used the RepRap firmware before. So that's why I wanted to try it, because it's something new for me as well. I usually don't worry about the software too much. We'll figure that out as it comes. Yes, in fact, I've been waiting on the IDEX kit as well. DJ mentioned in the chat that he also had ordered this main board and ordered the RepRap kit with it as well, and that's what I wanted too, because I think that that's half the point of it. But I really want to get that kit before I actually play with it too much. So we are still laying down raft. Overall looks pretty good. From the look of it, it might be over extruding a touch, but it's hard to say at this point specifically since we're on the raft still. The printer is running extremely smoothly though, and it's really low noise. That part cooling fan hasn't turned on yet, but it usually doesn't on the raft. I will get it into the actual part. I do like the spool holder, as I mentioned before. The spool holder is nice, putting it at a great angle to print. Their filament looks really nice. It's got a pretty standard wind on it. It's not particularly ugly. It's not particularly nice. And if I don't clog up, I'll be happy. It's an interesting looking raft. I can't tell if it's over extruding or if it's a weird raft. I don't know what they sliced this with, because I haven't seen a raft like this being generated by Cura before. So it could be a different slicer. May not even be over extruding. It may be doing what it's supposed to. Hopefully it's almost done with the raft. It is whistle shaped, as we said. Woo. I don't know why it just shoved out clumps of filament. What the heck? Was it supposed to do that? All right, yeah, I don't know what it's doing. It just like shoved out. It was going from the raft to what's eventually going to be the whistle. And it just shoved out a clump of filament when it was doing it. What's the temperature on here? 200 degrees on the nozzle, 60 on the bed. Still doing fine. So, still don't have part cooling yet. Hopefully after the first layer of the part on the raft, it will start part cooling. I have to be completely honest with you. I'm really concerned that the part is going to be fused to this raft. Either not enough cooling or too much filament being pushed out or something. I think it's going to be fused to the raft. But I'm going to let it finish. Okay, so the part cooling just turned on. So now it's really going. So let me see, does it have an estimation of print time? It's got an elapsed, it's got a 2% progress, but it doesn't have an estimation of print time. All right, so here's what we're going to do. I am going to, of course, stop talking because of this. If you have any questions, actually throw it in the chat real quick while I go and tell you what we're doing. Go and throw it up, and I will go and answer it. Otherwise, what I'm going to do, it's about 4:30. I am going to turn this towards my close-up camera. I'm going to get the close-up shot for you to actually watch this print. And I'll turn on the music so that you'll have something to either listen to or something to turn down. And we will let it go until it's done. And as usual, I will come back with you and I will close up the stream and give you my thoughts on the printer and on the test print. What am I getting blamed for, Anthony? I feel like I just got blamed. Oh, it's all your upgrades. Okay, yeah, I'll take the blame for that. That's fine. All right, so let me go ahead and very carefully twist this printer this way. And let's go ahead and get my camera to where I want it to be. I always forget for this shot, I always go a lot shorter so that I can get you close to the print bed as possible. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get you up close and personal to this test print. We're going to keep going. If you have any questions for me, please put them up in the chat, and I will be right back when this is all printed. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on this one. We're going to have to see how it turns out. It's not looking so hot at the moment. Yeah, it's not looking great. Anyway, switching over, I will see you guys very soon. All right, I am back, and I'll tell you why. Because this is printing like garbage right now. I'm sure you can see it. I'll switch back in a second. It is just randomly pumping out just blobs of filament. And I actually can hear it doing it because this filament, this extruder is skipping because it's trying to push out filament faster than it's even possible. I'm blaming the G code for now, but it just, no, it's telling it to pump out just crap tons of filament. I'm going to actually, this is just, it's nasty. I'm not going to let it go and ruin itself. So I'm actually going to stop this. This is pretty bad. Now switch over to the other camera for a second so you can see what it looks like. It's just garbage. I mean, I'm going to try one of the other G codes because I'm really thinking that that's what we're talking about here. Let me switch over. Obviously, I can't talk while it's doing it. So as you can see, lots of gloop. I don't know if it's possible that's the SD card. But yeah, that's pretty nasty. I'm going to see if I can get this off of here without waiting for it to cool. I don't want to have to wait to start my next print. But I've actually never seen a printer that just tried to pump out goop. So what we're going to do, obviously, I'm just going to pick another one of the prints. Let's go with the boat and hope it's a benchy. So I'm going to go to Print, Files, Boat. All right, we're going to try the boat. And then I will get close up again and we'll try that one because this one is not doing well. And then, of course, if this one doesn't do well either, then what I'll have to do is, you know, go off and try to fix it myself because I'm not going to stick around for a few hours while I debug that. Because what's going to be going on is it's either a bad SD card, which we're getting bad reads from, or the printer is miscalibrated in some way, or the slicing was done incorrectly. So we're going to have multiple things to check, and that'll be fairly time-consuming from a stop and print perspective. So I'm going to give this one a shot. We're going to give the boat print a shot, and if it works fine, great. Then we just had a bad file. If it doesn't work fine, then I will go off and debug this before I do my full review. I guess I'll go ahead and give my final thoughts on the printer itself, just construction, build, etc. I thought that the build process was super easy. The instructions were really good, except for the strange number ordering. Filament so far looks really good. I was looking for my calipers, they're not handy. Anyway, so the filament looks good so far. I like the color. I like the build surface. It's the usual build tack style build surface that's really nice. The Y-axis could be tensioned a little bit tighter, but that's not a now problem. The X-axis is probably okay. Single Z-screw, probably not going to be a problem, to be completely honest with you. It's kind of like what I found on the Ender 3 Max. As long as it's well built, I don't think you need 2 Z-screws. We'll find out. Let's see. Are we still squishy? Definitely printing a benchy, and it's doing another raft. But anyway, can you check the G code live? I could. We'll see what this does. I mean, I don't mind like taking the G code and putting it in the slicer and see what the slicer thinks it's going to look like. Other than that, I don't know how I would check the G code. But I think the single Z screw is fine if it's built well. This one looks like it's built like the Ender 3 Max is built in terms of just the overall design of the X gantry. The touchscreen display is responsive. I don't think I'm going to be real happy if I can't maintain the heat while I'm trying to do bed leveling. That kind of sucks. Filament loading works, but like almost every filament loading on any printer, it's not worth using. You might as well just load it manually. I love the sway bars built in, because if you've got to have a moving bed in the Y direction, I want it to be solid, and they did a good job there. Tom, I know what you're saying about checking it in a text editor, which I can read G-code just fine in a text editor, but it's difficult to know what you're really looking for unless you're seeing actual file system corruption of some sort, like where there's garbage in the file or something. I could look for that. But other than that, I don't know what I would look for in that file. So let's see what it's going to do here. Nelson asked, am I live? Yes, I'm live. This is real time. Hey, I bought an ExoSlide kit for my Ender 5 Plus after watching your video on it. I think you need to do one with the new kit because it's way different. I was disappointed. It wasn't the same kit. Thank you, David. I did not know that they had changed the kit. Can you briefly type what's different about the kit in the description? Or excuse me, in the chat, so that I know what to look for. I've got a great relationship with them over there. I'll be happy to contact them again. And I mean, it would be really difficult for me to fit in a new video into my current schedule, but I would definitely want to take a look and see. I'll do what I can. Anthony did the same thing. So you're telling me ExoSlide has changed the way that they're doing it? Oh, Nelson, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry you didn't know it was live. I posted it yesterday on all the various socials. I'll try to start posting it to my Patreon feed also. But it was on, I posted it yesterday to YouTube and then copied and pasted it around. Would I do ExoSlide over linear rails? Probably. I kind of go back and forth. So I have ExoSlide on my Ender 5 Plus. I have linear rails on my Ender 5. And do I like one over the other? I can't say from day to day. I don't have a preference of one over the other. I think that the ExoSlide has a little bit more. It allows the printer to move a little bit smoother, right? It has more tolerance to it. It can play a little bit more, which is good for most 3D printers. Whereas if you build a linear rail setup, it's a lot more tweaking and tuning to get it to print as good as it did with the wheels. So I don't think I have a huge preference of one over the other. I like both. The ExoSlide to me was a little easier to set up, not time-wise, but just configuration-wise. And the linear rails are definitely less forgiving. And so if there's anything going on with your machine, it will show up in your prints because all that transmits through the metal. I got more questions coming in. So Nelson's asking, tomorrow night I have a Patreon meetup at 10:30 in the evening Eastern Standard Time. So if you're a Patreon supporter, please show up for that meetup that we're doing live and online with me and the Patreon supporters. Yes, that is 10:30 in the evening. No, not tomorrow night. Sorry, Monday night. It's Monday night at 10:30 in the evening, not tomorrow. Let's see, what else we got? Is the Palm Wheels Ender 5 Plus the same as the Ender 3 Pros? Are the wheels the same? As far as I know, I don't know that they use any different palm wheels from printer to printer. I would be surprised to find that out if that was the case. Let's see. Mounting on the right side and left side was different than your video. Okay. David Woolley is saying that the mounting for the ExoSlide kit is now different than what he was originally doing. So I'll take a look at that. I'll give him a call, not a call, but a message and see what he says. So someone's saying that they can print with 250 with the ExoSlide. 250 millimeters with the ExoSlide. That's what Nelson's saying. How light is this printer? This printer is quiet. It's a lapel mic. There's virtually no sound out of this printer. If you want a quiet printer out of the box, this thing makes virtually no noise. The loudest thing going on right now on this printer is the power supply fan. Thank you, Tom, for reminding everyone to sub and hit the bell. Micro Swiss dual drive for ExoSlide installed. Okay. Oh, I changed the time on there for you, Nelson. It's not 10:30 a.m. anymore. I changed it to p.m. If it's still saying that somewhere, let me know, because I changed it to p.m. It should be reflected. Okay. Yes, my Ender 5 has linear rails. Do they make ExoSlide for the Ender 5? Yes, they have a kit for the Ender 5 also, I think. I'd have to double check. You can go check their website. They have kits. See if they have a kit for the Ender 5. I do have linear rails, and I have a kit that I generated. So you can find the prints for that. It's a really old video on my channel at this point about me upgrading to linear rails on my Ender 5. You can find it on the channel. It's still there. I haven't deleted it. And it links over to some parts where I printed for mine. I actually have some updated parts I've had for a while, and I haven't taken the time to update my Thingiverse. So it is still going, but I'm trying to figure out if it's blobbing like it was doing with the other one. There's a blob or two somewhere. How many Ender 5s do I have? DJ wants to know how many Ender 5s I've got. I've got 2 pluses, the one back here, one over there, and I've got 1 Ender 5 that has been my primary prototyping machine since I owned it. It's a fantastic machine. It's my original Ender 5. And then I've got an Ender 5 Pro that is still in the box, and it's been in the box for over a year. I have to be honest. I have 2 Ender 5s, but one of them is still in the box because things like this keep showing up, and I never have a chance to pull it out and put it together. It still looks like it's over extruding. I'm just looking to see if it's going to blob and go crazy on us. Again, even with over extrusion, you can't tell if it's the G code that they've got like the flow messed up or something, or if it's the firmware. Jeff's asking about the lead screw on the 5. Yes, they did change it. So I had made that original video of the Ender 5 and how the bed falls. And I put out a video about how you can fix it and change out the lead screw. And sometime after that, they decided to change it on their end. So now when you buy an Ender 5, from what I understand, the bed no longer falls on you. So again, still major over extrusion, but it's not blobbing up and doing crazy things like that last one was doing. So, Brian, good to see you back. Let's see, what else did I miss? Got a lot more questions coming in now than earlier. Let's see. I know very little about the Dragonfly, so I'm not going to answer any questions about the Dragonfly, and I don't have the any of the latest Bondtech stuff either. Um, let's see. What do you think there should be a dual Z-axis on the printer you just put together? I don't think you have to have dual Z-axis unless you see issues with it, like drooping on one side. If you have it well engineered, you probably don't have to have dual. I think it's fine. Other people can chime in. How do you all like it? So far, I like the printer. Overall, the construction and design is good. Touchscreen's not bad. I'm finding their test prints on the card to not be so great. The whistle I tried to print was coming out total garbage and blobbing all over the place. Garbage. And the benchy looks like it's working, but it still looks like it's over extruding like crazy. And again, I don't know if the steps are off or if it's the file. I won't know until I slice my own G-code. I'm not impressed with their test prints though. The new V4 kit does not come with a 2020 extrusion anymore. Okay, so David was still commenting on the new ExoSlide kit, and he's saying it does not come with a new extrusion. Apparently, you use the one you already have. All right, so David Wilson's modifying the heck out of his printers, and I have been watching his on his channel. So if you're interested in Ender 5 mods that are cool, go check out David Wilson. He's got a channel. Let's see. Too much going on. All right, CNC Maker's got a good point that as the wheels wear out, you could have Z problems on a dual Z axis without dual Z lead screws. Thank you, Brian, for the longer joke. I appreciate it. All right, so now I'm going to take that break. Now that Brian's back, I'm leaving. But anyway, I'm going to take that break now. I'm going to put it back on the close-up cam so that you can see this print. Like I said, seems to be going now. It looks like it may have just been that file, but they've got a lot of walls on this, so it may take a while to print. And as usual, I will be back as soon as this finishes printing, and we'll take a look at the quality. And obviously, if they've included prints on the SD card that are not flattering to the printer, not much I can do about that. I'll have to wait till I get the full review on this one. So, all right, enjoy the print and enjoy the music. I'll get that playlist going. All right, there we go. That one was an easy fix. I figured that one out. So you should be able to hear me now. We good? Okay, yeah, sound. You think I should make a benchy? Nova? Oh, we'll get back to that. Okay. So, the first one failed spectacularly. And it looks like this one has decided to fail in the same way, basically. And again, unknown if it's the SD card. This one's not going to pop off. It's too much surface area. It's too big at this point. It's going to have to cool. All right. So I've got two prints. This one seemingly having failed as dramatically and as nasty as the last one. I can't tell if it's the slice, if it's the printer, or if it's the SD card at this point. So we're going to have to figure this out offline. And of course, I will post to all of my socials, YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. No, not Instagram. Maybe Instagram. But I'll post to Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook in case you were watching this. What exactly was the problem? I'm going to try to fix it offline. And that is going to be it. And by the way, SS, thanks for joining. Good to see you again. I've been following a little bit along in the chat, just as I could, but I've also been having conversations with my family. Let's see what's going on here. Nova says, you think I should make a benchy. About what? What you going to do different about the benchy? Like a new model? Or should you print one? Sure, print one. If you haven't ever printed a benchy, see how your printer's doing. So I think that's about it for this stream. I'm going to have to let this cool anyway to get this benchy off. And then I will try probably a clean slice SD card and then try a print all over again to see if that's what it is. And we'll figure it out. And then when I get to a full review of this printer, then I will definitely be able to tell everyone, you know, either don't use that SD card or slice it yourself or you know, adjust your steps, whatever the case may be. Because there are parts of this where it tried to print all right, but it just goes nuts at some point. Let's see. Arslan99J asks, what's the best printer so far? That's a loaded question because not everyone needs exactly the same printer. I like the Ender 5 and the Ender 5 Plus, obviously, on this channel. Ender 5 Pro, if you're going to get an Ender 5. Other than that, the Ender 6 is looking really promising. The Ender 6 has been absolutely fabulous so far. It needs a couple of things that I'll talk about in the full review, but overall, I'm loving it. It's fast. It seems to be very accurate. So far, that's my favorite that I've reviewed recently. Oh, there we go. Thanks, SS, for the 20. And you are very appreciative of the content. And thank you very much for the donation. I appreciate that. So, there we go. I think that's going to be it for today. It has been a long afternoon. It's 5:30 now, which is about 3.5 hours since I started. I'm sorry for all the audio problems that I've had today, and I appreciate the 40-ish, 44, 47, however many people are still here. I appreciate you all sticking around. Thank you very much for watching this stream today, even though it wasn't as awesome as I usually try to make them. And thank you to Longer. Longer provided the printer, they provided the filament, and they wanted me to show this off to you. And obviously, I will continue to show it off to you in a full review as soon as I get to it. If you're wondering what's coming on the channel, let's see. This may interest some of you. I've got a update on my main board over here, the Lurge main board that's on that printer. I've got an update on how to set up your stepper drivers correctly on the Lurge board. That one wasn't planned, but it's one I wanted to do anyway, so I'm getting that one in here now because my motors were overheating, and I didn't recognize it until someone pointed it out. So that's what's coming next. And that video is about halfway done. And then after that, there will be a review of the H2 extruder. So if you've been curious about the H2 extruder and what I think about it, I will be installing the H2 extruder on an Ender 5 Plus and give you my thoughts. And after that, another 3D printer review. I'm not 100% which one it's going to be yet, but I've got a couple of different options. And maybe that newer reel printer that I did a live stream on not too far back. So I think that's what's coming. And if you are a Patreon supporter, I will have a Patreon meetup/hangout Monday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you would like to be part of that, you'll have to join my Patreon to get the link. And like I said, if you're already a Patreon supporter and you plan on attending, then thank you very much for being a supporter. So I think that's it. Let me see what's going on in the chat one more time. Oh, yeah. Thomas says, subscribe and like. If you enjoyed this stream and you stuck around this long, go ahead and hit the like for me and subscribe. And I appreciate everybody. In my case, I didn't like the Ender 5 Plus motion system. I could get good prints, but I wanted much higher speed and I didn't care much for detail. Okay. So SS is just talking about how he liked the Ender 5 Plus, but he wanted it faster and cared less about quality, which is a perfectly fine trade-off if that's what you're looking for. What I'm finding on the Ender 6 is both. Like, I'm not going crazy fast, but I am going really fast. And I'm still getting excellent quality, because at the point my quality starts to dip, I stop. That's where I know I've gotten to top speed, but I'm still happy about it. Anyway, that's it. Thank you very much, and I will see you guys hopefully very soon this week in my next video drop. Talk to you later.